What is going on?
I don't know. You tell me, Vianney Moreno. What is going on?
Hey, what's up, you guys?
Yeah, I feel like you're still finding your sea legs as far as your intro. Like, Pickles made howdy her bit, but you know.
I'm Trey Lance.
You're okay. You're Trey, if that's what you want to say. I'm trying to get the screen behind me to be the logo. Anyway, hello everybody. Welcome into the pre-show before the free show. I'm Greg Tepper. That's Vianney Moreno. And joining us today on this most holy of high holidays is our chief bracketologist, Mallory Hartley. Hello, Mallory Hartley.
Yo.
It's good to see you.
What's good?
How are you feeling today?
I'm so excited. It's first day of ball.
First day of ball. First day of
first day of hoops.
The NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
It's underway right now.
Yeah. You want a score check?
Yeah. Here's a score check up to the second analysis from.
All right. We got Creighton and Louisville. Mm-hmm. Creighton's up 40-25.
Oh wow, Creighton's pulling away.
Who'd you pick?
I think Creighton.
I picked Louisville.
Oh no.
And then we got High Point and Purdue.
Mm-hmm. More like Purdue.
Purdue's up 15-14 on High Point with 11 left in the first half.
Okay.
My picks were not put on display for people, but I picked Louisville.
Oh, good for you. And you picked.
Did you pick High Point or Purdue?
Purdue.
Okay.
I picked High Point.
More like Purdue. All right. There's two things we need to do here before we get into the show. First of all, we got to talk about what is emerging, I think, as the story of the tournament. Okay?
Yeah.
We sat here on this program on Monday, you and I, ball knowers, and we said...
Hashtag ball knowers.
And we said, there's one team to keep an eye on.
Sorry.
And that team...
Alabama State.
Is the Alabama State Hornets.
Yeah.
And you saw what happened. They won on a remarkable buzzer beater against St. Francis, I think it was.
It was St. Francis. And I hate to admit this, but I didn't watch that game.
That is
the
true.
reason that I knew what happened is because I had to call you immediately afterwards when I saw it on Twitter.
I texted you and I said, hey.
But you watched the whole thing.
Oh, yeah. I watched Stem.
Yeah.
This team.
Stem Stern.
This is the only team I've watched 2 basketball games of. It's also the only team I've watched 1 basketball game of. And I'm here to tell you that Alabama State's going to beat Auburn today. Like, you heard it here first.
At 1:50 p.m.
1:50 p.m.
Because here's the thing, and we talked about this in our post-game show when I called you on.
Yeah, we had about a 10-minute call.
Tuesday night. Yeah,
breaking it down.
My thing is, where do they play? St. Francis and Alabama State, Providence.
Yep.
If you can just go in to a neutral site and beat St. Francis,
yeah, I mean
you can beat anybody in the tournament at that point.
Dayton, Ohio.
If you could just go into Dayton, Ohio on a neutral court and beat St. Francis, you can beat anybody.
Like Team of Destiny here.
Team of Destiny. Alabama State is the Cinderella team.
Yeah,
this year.
Amar Knox is the hero here. He had he was their leading scorer, and he also had their thing. And I'm just telling you, they're going to give Auburn fits today.
Would you like to know what the line is?
Sure.
It's Auburn minus 31.5.
Okay. I mean, but Vegas, we know this.
Vegas is always wrong.
They're haters.
They are haters.
They're haters. They're drinking the haterade.
Correct.
Haterade.
So I don't trust them.
Yeah, I don't trust them. Okay, so that's one thing. Alabama State plays today.
1:50.
Appointment viewing. Be by the channel at there. Okay. Now, Mallory, you are the chief ball knower around here.
To some extent.
Never mind the fact that we have Ishmael Johnson, who literally hosts a college basketball podcast on our air, and was like a professional basketball.
Has never even asked me on either.
Well, so chief bracketologist, I know you've been grinding on these brackets. You've been trying to find that edge, trying to crack the code, right? You're at the safe trying to crack the code. Mm-hmm. And so what I want to do, though, is what's fun about this time of year is that, yes, of course, Duke is in the tournament, and everyone's excited to see what Houston does. But I also think this is a great opportunity for people to understand just how many college basketball teams are out there. Mm-hmm. And so what I've done is I have assembled a list of, I think it's 10 teams that are in the tournament. Mm-hmm. And what I want you to do is tell me what state, and if you know the city, cool, where this team plays, where this team is located, okay?
And I'm not looking anything up.
You're not looking anything up?
No.
Close your computer.
Don't need it.
The Florida Gators. What state?
Florida Gators. Is it Florida? Is that how you
Florida is
pronounce
correct.
it?
Florida.
Thank you.
Gainesville,
Thank you.
Florida. All right, we're gonna increase difficulty.
VNA, keep score.
Yeah, we're gonna increase in difficulty. Okay. The Creighton Blue Jays. Where are the Creighton Blue Jays located?
Nebraska.
Omaha, Nebraska. 2 for 2. Okay. The Yale Bulldogs. Where are the Yale Bulldogs located?
Oh, man. Pennsylvania?
It's a good guess. They're in New Haven, Connecticut.
Connecticut.
Connecticut. Okay. Okay. 2 for 3.
I should know that.
The Bryant Bulldogs. The Bulldogs of Bryant University.
I should know this too because we're playing them. Give me a hint.
Also in the Northeast. Think small.
Small. Northeast. Pennsylvania.
Okay. Rhode Island was what we were going for. Smithfield, Rhode Island.
Okay.
Okay.
I should know that.
2 for 4. Not great.
Yeah, no.
Liberty.
Shooting at 50%.
Liberty. Where is Liberty?
Oh, Liberty.
This is a team that is in.
They're in Conference
they're
USA.
A major, they're a major college football team too.
I know. They're
Like
in
Brian,
Conference
you have an
USA, so
excuse.
they're kind of in.
They're an FBS team.
Oh.
But to being in Conference USA doesn't give you a hint. That, like,
No, it
it's-
doesn't. You give me a hint.
East Coast.
East Coast. I know it's not one of the Carolinas.
Is not one of the Carolinas.
East Coast. Pennsylvania.
You're gonna ride or die. Lynchburg, Virginia.
Virginia.
Okay.
That I didn't know. Okay.
Mizzou's opponent tonight. The Drake Bulldogs. Where are the Drake Bulldogs located?
Drake. Tell me what it starts with. Tell me the
State?
state that it starts.
No.
Why? Would that give it away?
Maybe.
Pennsylvania.
They're in Des Moines, Iowa.
Is Drake really in Iowa?
In Des Moines, yeah.
So they get to share the great state of Iowa with the Iowa Hawkeyes.
With Kirk Ferentz.
With Kirk Ferentz.
The Wofford Terriers. Where are the Wofford Terriers?
New York.
Spartanburg, South Carolina.
Okay.
The team playing right now, High Point. Where is High Point located? The High Point Panthers.
I should know this too, because Carter was saying that his cousin goes to High Point, so that's why he picked High Point over Purdue. But unfortunately, I don't know where High Point is.
High Point, North Carolina.
I knew that.
Lipscomb, the Bison of Lipscomb. Where is Lipscomb located?
That one feels like a Pennsylvania to me.
Yes, Nashville, Tennessee.
This close.
Two more.
This close.
2 more. Mount St. Mary's, the Mountaineers. Where is Mount St. Mary's?
New York. That feels like a New York feel.
Very close. Emmitsburg, Maryland.
Okay.
And finally, the Colonials of Robert Morris. Where are the Colonials of Robert Morris located?
Can you give me a hint?
You've said this state a lot today.
Pennsylvania.
Moon Township, Pennsylvania. The Colonials
ding, ding, ding.
of Robert Morris. Happy March Madness.
Do you know where St. John's is? I was waiting for
New
that
York.
one. Yeah, it was
It's in New York.
3 of 7. Not bad.
3 and 7. Is that right?
3 and 7. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Not bad.
They call that the Jonathan Smith.
Jonathan
Anyway.
Smythe.
Happy March Madness. Hit the theme, Expo. Yes, y'all. From the new Dave Campbell's Texas Football Mothership here in beautiful Lewisville, Texas, as I find my camera. It is Texas Football Today, a show that's gonna gimme the ball because I'm gonna dunk it. My name's Greg Tupper. I'm the editor-in-chief of Dave Campbell's Texas Football and TexasFootball.com. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. Whether you're watching us live, TexasFootball.com, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, all the places, or you listen to us on the podcast, which you can subscribe to on the podcast vendor of your choice. Either way, thank you for doing your part to support your local mediocre internet show. I am sitting here at this desk, sitting over there in the palatial Dave Campbell's Texas Football Studios, the control room, the nerve center. She is our friend Vianney Moreno. Hi, Vianney.
EIC. EIC.
That's enough of that.
EIC.
Are you fired up about all the Catholic teams in the tournament?
Yes.
Xavier won last night. Big win for the church.
Big win for the church.
Big win for Frank. Pope Frank. Anyway, today.
It's always big wins for the Catholics.
So Catholics back on top. Today is Thursday, March 20th, 2025. It is a mere 252 days to Thanksgiving. Happy birthday. You know whose birthday it is. Happy birthday to our boss, Brooke Miller, our Chief Content Officer.
Happy birthday, Brooke.
Chief Content Officer Brooke Miller turns an age today. So happy birthday to her.
Mm-hmm.
River was in. You got to see your boy Riv, right?
Yes. Super cool.
My man.
Super cool guy.
My man. It is episode 1844. On today's show, folks, we got Math Tuesday.
Math Tuesday.
Thank you. And what we're going to do is we are going to...
Still getting the hang of things around here. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. We are going to talk about Ken Hall, who passed away this weekend, the state's all-time leading rusher. And I'm a believer that numbers don't necessarily do a player justice sometimes. We are going to dive inside the numbers and tell you why his numbers are even more remarkable than you think, and why he has a real argument to being the greatest player in Texas high school football history. We'll talk about that. Back half of the show, we'll be joined by Greg Powers, our Director of Recruiting, to talk all things recruiting in This Week in Cruton. That's coming up here at the back half of the program. So why don't you stick around with us? Like two-screen us with High Point and Purdue.
Two-screen it?
Yeah. Do we first four through the door?
We do. Mm-hmm. Lowell Good. Mm-hmm. Jersey number 69.
Nice.
T Solace 979. Mm-hmm. And Lowell Good again.
Oh, you got it twice. Wow. 2 out of the 4. It's a big one. Welcome in, friends. We do appreciate you spending a little bit of your day with us here on a Thursday. And per usual, on Thursday, we like to celebrate Math Tuesday.
Math Tuesday.
It's Math Tuesday here on Texas Football Today, where we dive inside the numbers. And we reported on Monday, we talked about it, the passing of Ken Hall. Ken Hall, the Sugarland Express, the state's all-time leading rusher, who has both the career Texas high school football rushing record that has stood for more than 70 years, and the single-season rushing record that has stood for more than 70 years. Absolutely remarkable. We talked about him and his legacy on Monday when we were doing some headlines, but I got on a kick, as I want to do, and I started looking through and trying to dig through the remarkable numbers that defined Ken Hall, that have made him such a lasting part of the Texas high school football lore. And I can tell you the top line numbers, right? He ran for more than 4,000 yards in 1953. Pretty crazy. I can tell you that he has more than 11,000 yards in his career. Pretty crazy. But I also feel like that requires context, because I think that first of all, I think there's two sides of it. There are people who would say, yeah, but he was even better than that because he had played in fewer games, which is true. There are also people who will say, yeah, but he was playing in Class B in the 50s. Like, I mean, what does that necessarily mean? And I think both of these arguments are reasonable. And so I wanted to dig inside the numbers and talk a little bit more about Ken Hall and what he wanted to do. So as a baseline, here's where we're going to start. Let's just take a look at the all-time single-season rushing yards leaders in Texas high school football history. UIL 11, man. And here it is. If you've never seen this list before, here you go. These are the people who have run for the most yards in a single season. And you see at the top, Ken Hall, 4,045 yards, the only 4,000-yard rusher in Texas high school football history. The rest of this list is really interesting. First of all, you've got 3 guys who were all within 3 yards of one another in the same year in 2011. Trey Williams at Spring Decaney, Jonathan Gray at Aledo, and Joseph Sadler at Devine. All within 3 yards of one another, which is wild for second, third, and fourth place on this list. They're in the high 3,800s. Rodney Thomas, the legendary Rodney Thomas there, and in 1990 ran for 3,700 yards. Wes Danaher, the son of the legendary Phil Danaher, down there, a legend in his own right, ran for nearly 3,600 yards in 1995. How about from this year? John Hebert, the running back from Houston Strake Jesuit, clocks in with the 7th all-time greatest rushing season in Texas high school football history. Is that right? Yeah, that's right, 7th at 35.42. He just beat out Jonathan Brooks back in 2020. I know it was a relatively forgettable year, but Jonathan Brooks was absolutely remarkable. 3,530 rushing yards for Jonathan Brooks. And then, of course, the legendary Cedric Benson in 1999 running for 3,526. Those are the top 9 all-time single-season rushing yards. And so, before you go to the next one, this is, I think if you just stop there, you'd be like, oh, Ken Hall, pretty remarkable. Like, that is a record that has stood for more than 70 years. Nobody has run for more than 4,000 yards in a season. But one of the things about Ken Hall is that playing in Class B in the early 1950s, there was not a state championship. There were not state playoffs in the UIL in Class B. Instead, the highest achievement that you could have would be a regional championship. Okay, you would go and like the teams within your region would send a team to the playoffs, and there were 2 rounds of playoffs, and if you finished it, there was like a Final Four, and then if you finished it, then you were that was your quote unquote state champ, right? You were the regional champion, and they won 3 consecutive regional championships in 1951, 1952, and 1953. All that is to say, Ken Hall only played 12 games when he ran for 4,000 yards. And so what I wanted to do was I wanted to take a look at every running back in Texas high school football history who has run for at least 3,100 yards in a season. Okay, 3,100 yards. And there's only like 50 of them that have run for 3,100 yards. And then I want to calculate their yards per game. Okay, plain and simple. How many yards per game did you run for in that season? And you're going to notice something here. Okay? At the top, of course, needless to say, Ken Hall. 1953, ran for 4,445 yards in 12 games, a 337-yard per game average. Absolutely stupid. In second place, Ken Hall in 1952, when he ran for 3,458 yards in 12 games. 288.2. He is the single season yards per game leader, and he's also second place. And by the way, look at the bottom of this list. Ken Hall, 1951, in 9th place. Okay? As a sophomore, ran for 3,160 yards in 12 games. If Ken Hall had retired from football after his sophomore season, he would still be 7th all-time in UIL 11-man history for yards per game in a season. And then all he did after that was put together the best season that we'd ever seen, and then the best season that we had ever seen after that. Which, by the way, if you're interested, look at that. Joseph Sadler is in third. He ran for those 3,877 yards in just 14 games. He edges out John Hebert at Houston Strake Jesuit from just this past year, 272.5 yards. Buddy Hansen at Tom Bean back in 2003 was unstoppable, 268.8 yards per game. Edging out Trevor Spates, a legend down there in McAllen, at McAllen Memorial in 2015, nearly 3,200 yards. Dawson Pendergrass, now at Baylor, was absolutely remarkable there in 2022. Ran for nearly 266 yards a season, as did Aaron Dumas in 2019 at El Paso Americas. And so that just tells you, of the top 9 single season rushing yards per game averages, Ken Hall has 3 of them. 3 of them. And they've lasted for 70 years. And so let's now zoom in on Ken Hall's career as a whole. We'll just take a look at what Ken Hall's career looked like by the numbers. And so his freshman year, as a freshman, he didn't get a ton of carries. Played in 9 games. They went 4-5. Didn't make the playoffs. Ran for 589 yards. Okay, but then you see those yards per game averages, right? 263 yards, 288 yards, 337 yards. So for his career, including a really pretty mediocre, nothing to write home about freshman year, he averaged nearly 250 yards per game over the course of his 45 games. Absolutely stunning. But here's the thing about this, okay? And this is my final point about Ken Hall and his greatness and why I think there's an argument to be made that he's the greatest player in Texas high school football history. So we talked about how he accomplished all of those things in 12 games. You see 11-0-1 in 1951, 11-1 in 1952, 12-0 in 1953. 12 games each of those years. Obviously, at 4-5 his freshman year, they wouldn't have been eligible for the playoffs. But what if he was playing in a 16-game season? What if he was able to do what players in today's era are able to do and play 16 games? Okay? And so I extrapolated it. Okay, his sophomore year, he would be the single season rushing record, 4,212, if he had run for over 16 games. It would have been even better, obviously, as a junior, 4,600 yards. And in 1953, if he had played 16 games at that pace, he would run for nearly 5,400 yards. 5,400 yards. If he was able to play if he was playing in the 16-game era, Ken Hall would have come close to 15,000 yards. A reminder that over the course of the last 70 years, nobody has run for 11,000 yards. When they've had an opportunity to play as many as 16 games a season. Ken Hall would have been close to 15,000. A full extra season more than a lot of these guys. And so I understand that there are people who are going to say, well, yeah, he was playing at Sugar Land in Class B in the early 1950s. And I hear you. The game has changed. But I am here to tell you that these numbers that Ken Hall put up during his iconic Texas high school football career, I think there's an argument to be made he's the greatest player in Texas high school football history. What he did from a rate stat perspective is stunning, and nobody's come close to it. Nobody's even whiffed at it. And I made this point on Monday. I do believe that at some point, his career rushing record is going to fall. Just because you think about that, with 16 games, these players will have an opportunity to play as many as, 12 times 4 is 40, 16 times 4, oh, this is bad, I'm doing math on the fly. 64 games.
Math is hard.
On Math Tuesday. 64 games. There's theoretically, every player who starts as a freshman could play in 19 more games than Ken Hall did. Okay? And so at some point, if you have a player who is a workhorse running back over the course of 4 years and they make deep playoff runs, he doesn't even have to average 250 yards a game to break Ken Hall's record. I do think his career record may fall one day. But that 4,000 yard mark in 1953, and I would even say what he did in 1951, 1952, those stand up as some of the greatest seasons in Texas high school football history. So I wanted to take an opportunity to honor Ken Hall and just to really put in perspective just how remarkable he was as a player. Ken Hall passed away this weekend at the age of 89, the Sugar Land Express. That's Math Tuesday. We're Texas Football Today. Thank you. We're Texas Football Today. We're here Mondays and Thursdays on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF, like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's, and of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. Hope you'll consider going to TexasFootball.com/subscribe to become a Dave Campbell's Texas Football subscriber. Vianney, could you put the camera on you for a second? There's Vianney Moreno. If you're wondering where your dollar goes when you subscribe to Dave Campbell's Texas Football, it goes directly to her. At that point, I ask her, please, Miss Moreno, could I have $1? And she says no. But please line V&A Moreno's pockets. Go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe. Get the 2025 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football mailed to you before it hits newsstands. Also, a year of Dave Campbell's Texan Live, our streaming platform with nearly 2,000 live events all year long as part of your subscription package. Makes a great gift as well. Go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe. Coming up here in just a moment, Greg Powers will sit in this chair to my right, and we will talk a little bit about recruiting. But first, a word from these valued partners.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Potter, Executive Director of Be Well Texas. Too many people are struggling alone these days, and alcohol and drug deaths are increasing. We started Be Well Texas to offer high-quality, science-based addiction treatment and recovery services anywhere, even at home. We provide compassionate, caring support, virtually or in person. In many cases, there is no cost for treatment if you don't have insurance. Really. Welcome to Be Well Texas. We're glad you're here.
30-yard line, the 20, the 10, touchdown!
Hey DFW residents, get your grocery essentials in minutes, not hours or days, with Wing Drone Delivery. Forget about last-minute trips to the store when you need things like cereal for breakfast before school, medicine for a cold, or snacks for a movie night. Wing's drones get you quick, no-contact delivery in as fast as 15 minutes. Say goodbye to last-minute grocery runs and say hello to more of your valuable time. Sign up today.
Joined out here by Hayden Gunner at Denton High School. Man, it's a big day for you. You got your decision coming right now.
After a lot of thinking, with the family talking, stressing out.
Let's see exactly where Malik Hawkins is going to be heading.
First off, I want to start by thanking God. Without him, I wouldn't be anything. I wouldn't be blessed with all these opportunities.
Got 5 schools he's choosing between. We're about to find out who it's going to be. Got your teammates, coaches, family, friends surrounding you, so you couldn't have a bigger stage right here to announce it on. So without further ado, we're going to go to the man right here, Kobe Foreman. Who's it going to be?
I will be attending.
I'll be committed to the University of Oklahoma. University of Texas A&M.
Stanford University.
The University of Oklahoma.
Every legend starts with a vision. For Dave Campbell, that vision was clear. Tell the story of Texas football like never before. In 1960, he built something no one had before, a magazine that became the Bible of Texas football. Coaches, players, and fans didn't just read it, they lived by it. His words shaped the game. His vision built a legacy. And his name? It will always be written in the story of Texas football. Dave Campbell's Texas Football, where legends begin.
Back here on Texas Football Today, I'm Greg, that's V&A, and we are pleased to be joined, blessed to be joined, by Greg Powers, our Director of Recruiting here at Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Happy March Madness, Greg Powers.
What's up?
How's your bracket?
You know what? I don't know. I'm here at work.
Yeah, me too.
Who knows?
And that's what we do.
Who knows?
And what we do here at work is we work. Like, we're grinding.
Right.
And you've been grinding on the recruiting beat.
Lots of stuff to be grinding on.
A lot of stuff. Let's not waste any time. I'm Greg Tepper. That's Greg Powers. This is This Week in Cruton. It's This Week in Recruiting, with Greg Powers, our director of recruiting here at Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Follow him on Twitter at GPowerScout. Sees fine work at TexasFootball.com/recruiting. And of course, this is brought to you by our good chicken friends at Chicken Express. Chicken Express. You know what I've found is that recently people have had, they've been dealing with cases of basketball fever, perhaps even March Madness. And you know what I've found is a great cure for that?
Chicken tenders.
Get that little yellow box.
Oh, man.
Take one yellow box and call me in the morning.
Chicken tenders.
Right now, if you were one of those fans out there that just happened to have picked Louisville in your bracket.
Oh, no.
You didn't pick Creighton. They're down by 15 right now at halftime, and you're just feeling it. You're in your feels right now about Louisville. Hit that app and get you some chicken E.
Yeah, do some emotional eating.
Yeah.
Like, that's what this is. Is like, you need to, like the best way to cure, honestly, I mean this sincerely. I don't know about you, but like sports trauma, the way I treat it,
gravy.
Dr. Greg Powers over here. Like that's a medical diagnosis.
Can I interrupt really quickly and say I'm honored this is my first time producing where we have This Week in Recruiting. So honored.
Sweet.
Honored. It was awesome.
Sorry that I blew your ears out there on the intro then. My bad.
You were a little loud, but that's okay.
You want to know she did something that none of my producers have done before. She let me hear my own Cruton yell.
And you were like, oh, yeah.
It blew my ears out.
Yeah, Pickle usually takes us out of our ears when we do it, but yeah, it's a tough scene. It's This Week in Recruiting with Greg Powers, our director of recruiting. It's funny because you did it and like our sales team, they were walking out to lunch and like our VP of sales like heard you do it, like looked over here like but then he realized what was going on.
It radiates.
Let's get into it. Let's talk about our prospect on the rise. Our prospect on the rise. We're going to go to Liberty Hill.
I'm excited about this.
Talk about their 2026 defensive tackle Alistair Vallejo. I did a Liberty Hill playoff game for FanDuel Sports Network Southwest. And when I tell you that this guy was all over the place against Brenham, picked up an offer this week from Arizona, and this guy's a freak show, man. He's unbelievable.
His tape is really good. He's one of these guys not rated now. Well, not rated on any of the national outlets. We have him already rated as a 3-star prospect here at Dave Campbell's. But everybody's going to jump on this guy. Everybody. I'm going to read through some of his stats right here just to put some perspective because I think you're going to find something interesting as I go through these. 47 tackles.
Good. Reminder, hold on. Interior lineman. He's lining up a lot between the guards.
8 sacks, 15 QB hurries. And here's the mic dropper, something that I've never said on any of these breakdowns ever before. 4 blocked field goals.
How in the world? Wow. How in the world? Like recruit him only to be on special teams. Like I don't care. Like if you're like this, I mean this sincerely. If you are like a championship level program, why wouldn't you like this guy's obviously very good at this one thing. And if you can get 4 blocked field goals in one season, like that's a season changer right there.
That's pretty special. 4 blocked field goals are pretty special. Also this month, set the school record with a 375-pound bench press.
Wow.
Freaky.
And there's some schools coming after. I'm going to go through his, offer list.
Picked up an offer this week from Arizona.
Picked up an offer from Arizona, Baylor, Oregon State, Memphis, SMU, Kansas, TCU, some of the schools that are already on him. I think this kid's offer list is about to just go nuts, I feel like.
This guy, if you haven't seen the tape on Alistair Vallejo, it's just, again, we talk about it how, like, there's players who are really great players and their tape is just like, oh, that's nice tape. This guy's tape is like a blockbuster like movie.
And it's cool for us too because recruiting's changing. Recruiting is one of those things that I feel like you have to stay on top of because every single cycle is going to be a little bit different than the year previous. Well, something that's changed in this cycle, I feel, are the colleges are ahead of the media services in a lot of ways because the recruiting timeline flipped. Right? They had to go out and evaluate earlier. They did that in January. They're setting official visits and all that kind of stuff now because they're getting ready to come up in the spring. And a lot of these kids will be committed before August. So one thing that's changed is the colleges are a little bit in front of us in the media on their evaluations. Because guys who do rankings and stuff, we have to be holding to something called National Signing Day. And
Correct.
Until National Signing Day is over, you're in the grind, the meat and potatoes of recruiting coverage. So these scouting services will change the way that they do it as we move forward to evaluate quicker. But Alistair Vallejo is one of these guys that we're still early on. He's got good offers, but he's an elite talent.
This guy's going to be unbelievable. Alistair Vallejo, the defensive tackle from Liberty Hill. Remember that name. Let's get to our commit of the week. Our commit of the week, Richardson. Speaking of defensive tackle, speaking of interior linemen, Richardson, 2026 defensive tackle Jamion Winfield, pulled the trigger this week, committed to USC. The Trojans coming in, again, can't stress this enough, a Big Ten team. Jamion Winfield is going to go play Big Ten ball at USC.
It's weird still.
Right. But he was a guy who actually, when you watch his tape, it's different. He plays with a little bit of a different style, but the results are very similar with the way the gentleman we just talked about, Alistair Vallejo.
He reminds me so much of Andrew Billings. I think that's a good comparison for Winfield. He really is an explosive defensive tackle. You don't see guys with the first step like Winfield has on tape very often. As a matter of fact, I think I'm in my mind's eye just trying to go back. He's the most explosive off the snap since Ed Oliver,
wow.
Maybe. And I think that he'll pick up his consistency as he matures. He transferred to Richardson from Mississippi, and he's easily one of the best in the country. He's the number 1 rated defensive tackle in the state, and there's a reason why. It's because he's so explosive. He has such a high upside. 6'4", 290, 310 pound range is where I would put him at on the eyeball test. And USC got a really good steal in Winfield. He had over 35 offers when he committed to the Trojans.
It's a name to know, Jamion Winfield. We're getting very into these interior linemen today. And for good reason. Both these guys are absolute freaks there. It's This Week in Recruiting. Greg Powers, Director of Recruiting. Let's get to our underclassmen of the week. Our underclassmen of the week going to DeSoto to talk about their 2027 athlete. They move them all around, Myson Johnson Cook. And why wouldn't you move him all around when he runs a 10.33 in the 100? And that was in that race that kind of went viral,
right?
Where I think he came in 5th,
5th or 6th, because and the dude who won it ran a sub 10, a 9.99. Was that Braden Williams from Duncanville, I believe?
Yeah. So here's Myson Johnson Cook. Here's just my analysis of this, and this is look, you're the expert here, so certainly push back if I'm wrong, but fast.
And big,
man. For a guy, you think like guys who are running 10.33 in the 100, you're thinking, oh, he must be like a little squirt. You know what I mean? Like a 5'8", 160. Nope, not Myson Johnson Cook. This is a dude who gets that tractor trailer moving.
See, one of the things I love about our ability to cross over into being like basically Texas high school football experts and kind of like prospects / rankings, recruiting experts as well. Like, you get to wear multiple hats here. Like, you can put perspective on who's running Myson Johnson Cook down in these tapes because we know the players. Like that first clip, somebody might have watched that first clip and said like, oh, why did that safety kind of close on him?
Yeah.
Well, because that safety was Tyron Pauly.
Right. Yeah.
You know
that safety is an elite prospect himself.
Yeah. Or somebody in 11-6A, the District of Doom.
Correct.
Well, Myson Johnson Cook is not getting caught on tape by anybody. At 6'3", 220 pounds, this dude is an animal. And last year was his first year playing Texas high school football. I think he moved in from Indiana, maybe it was Illinois, one of the Midwestern states. So he came down, and now he's going to be taking over the reins of the offense, basically from Tiger Ryden,
right,
who signed with Texas A&M. They're not going to have much drop-off,
I think,
going from Ryden to Cook.
I
think he's going to be pretty good. I think he's going to be one of the most fun high school football players we lay our eyes on next year. And why? 6'3", 220.
Yeah.
10.33. Oh, by the way, he doubled down on that because he ran a 10.45 after that in the next track meet. So he went 10.33, 10.45 at 6'3", 220.
Because that was one of the things is that, like, I know that, like, that race went viral. We've talked about it. And I want to be clear that it was wind aided. That if you look on the screen up there, I think it's like plus 2.6 or something like that. So there is a wind aid on there. So I don't think that like that would qualify as like a state record because there was too much wind.
Right.
So then he goes out there and runs basically a wind neutral 10.45. It's like, what are we doing here? Like, that's crazy. And I mentioned this to to our friend Joel Anderson. Joel Anderson, who is now with The Ringer, who's a guy who was a track guy, and he pays attention to track. And I sent that to him, and he brought up the great point. He's like, dude, we're not even at the Texas Southern, like the TSU relays. Like the TSU relays are like the first big, like the blue bonnet.
It's not warm yet.
Yeah, the blue bonnet relays are like a good kind of entree, like a appetizer to track season. Like, it's not until you get to Texas Southern and then obviously the Texas relays and then obviously the state championships when you start, like, these guys are going to get faster. Like, over that time, theoretically. It's crazy to be running this fast right now.
I compare it to kind of like baseball, right? Like, whenever baseball starts, they're not hitting well because their timing's not quite right, and it's cold.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's windy, it's bitter out there. But also the techniques are going to get better with each and every race. These guys are going to be faster. And Cook's scary, man. Like, Cook is just flat out scary. And already all the top schools in the country are pretty much coming after him. He has Georgia, Notre Dame, Oregon, Ole Miss, TCU, Texas A&M, USC, etc. Texas has not offered him yet. SMU has. So those are some of the schools that have offered this up-and-coming phenom at DeSoto. Guess what? DeSoto's got prospects.
I can't believe it. I'm blown away. I'm always blown away by Greg Powers, our director of recruiting here.
Nice. Nicely done.
Follow him on Twitter, G Power Scouts. He's fine work at texasfootball.com/recruiting. Hey, Sam, make that high five the thumbnail. Let's go over to Vianney Moreno for America's second favorite segment. Final thoughts.
What's up, guys? Oh.
No, that's better.
What's up, guys?
Hi.
I just want to thank you guys again for letting me produce this. Those are my final thoughts. And a lot of birthdays celebrating. Today is obviously our Chief Content Officer, Brooke Miller. We'll be celebrating Kimmy tomorrow. Well, her birthday already passed, but
Kimmy has the same birthday as Corey Hogue, right?
She does.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kimmy and Corey have the same birthday.
But she's having a little shindig tomorrow. It's my best friend's birthday on Saturday.
A lot of March birthdays.
Did you see me how you cut to us and I'm like intently watching your monologue?
Yeah, we're just like we want to know what Vianney has to say.
Lots of good.
When are your boys' birthdays?
Sorry, I'm going to tell you my own birthday. Oh no, I feel like those guys that are on the social, like they're with their girlfriend and they start asking them like personal questions about September 7th and December 10th.
The September 7th, December 10th. Yeah, because both my boys are December 3rd and 5th, and so they're all crammed together because, March Madness. That's going to do it for us. Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And of course, see us at texasfootball.com. Programming note. I'm out next week. I'm going on vacation with my wife. You can't stop me. Deal with it. But sitting in this chair, your guest host on Monday, Carter Yates.
Let's go.
Welcome to Thunderdome. We'll see you Monday on Texas Football Today.
See you later.